And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcast. The latest Pop Culture Cosmos on that particular channel is the same as the Inside Sports Fantasy Football channel because they both have our NFL and college football playoff special. Absolutely. So if you want to go ahead and check out the audio form of that, it's now available on both the Inside Sports Fantasy Football and the Pop Culture Cosmos channels, indeed. And if you want to check out the video version, it's available on the Lakers Fast Break as well. Of course, Joe Soros here. Please go ahead and support him today by heading over and getting on Steam the best indie fighting game that's out there, Corrupt, Coreupt, on Steam. Also, as well, if you need a lawn transformed today and you live in a great area in Southern California, please go ahead and give Joe a call at Simblades with a Y.com. Of course, our good friends, the Lakerholics. I guess I am hosting the Lakerholics tomorrow at 11 a.m. So go ahead and check out the guys from Lakerholics.com there. Alfred Esmond, Stone Hansen, Legend, who was on last night. Appreciate all those guys coming on in recent days. Go ahead and follow them on Twitter. And then, of course, also as well, Empire Jeff TV covering the Lakers and the Dodgers. Of course, Lakers in 5, John McCallion channel, and Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, go ahead and check them out today, wherever you get your great YouTube channels. Support John Costas, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner, all that great stuff. But also make sure you give us a like and a subscribe or a follow if you're watching on Facebook or Twitch. Please go ahead and do so. It really helps out the channel. Indeed, we're 2020 strong and counting right here at the Lakers Fast Break. And I do have memberships available, still at $2.99, but maybe if you could hold off that for just maybe a couple weeks or so, if you want to go ahead and sign up, if you can, please defer the money to a charitable place that helps out the individuals that have been impacted by the fires. The fires. Excuse me. If you do that, that is greatly appreciated because they need the money right now more than us right here at the Lakers Fast Break. So if you could go ahead and do that, any money towards those different causes, which I mentioned at the end of last night's show, would be greatly appreciated. Well, welcome back, everyone. Another sad day, because the fires in the Southern California area are continuing, and it was announced by the NBA just a little while ago. Shams Charania reported, and then, of course, there was official announcements thereafter that the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs tomorrow night's game has been postponed, and also the Clippers and Charlotte's game has also been postponed as well. So yes, both those games are postponed. And I know if you saw the press conference during the JJ after practice deal and got a chance to listen to his emotional words about him losing his Pacific Palisades home, and talking to about his family, how it worked out as far as him meeting up with them the night after the game in Dallas. I guess met up with them at a hotel that they were moved to around 2 a.m. that morning when they got back on the flight. Just very emotional for him about the stuff that they lost, about the community that was lost in the fire. And again, if you can help them out, support any of those charitable organizations, it would be greatly appreciated. But here today with me to discuss the postponement, some other things as well I want to bring up as far as Lakers rumors, which are still persisting because the internet still runs wild even when the Lakers can't do so. Good man indeed. It is, of course, Joe Soro. Joe, great to have you here. Good question, Gustavo. I had mentioned the Honda Center as a possibility, and it's far enough away, yet still logistically viable, but nothing was mentioned. They're just postponing games for now. Joe, I know during practice today, after practice, Austin Reeves, JJ Redick, others mentioned the fact that they would rather see games being played tomorrow just to try and provide some sort of distraction for the city, but the league chose not to. Your thoughts? Was it a good call for them to do so?
Well, I think what changed what changed things a little. I think yesterday the fires started creeping over to Hollywood Hills, and that might have been why they decided to postpone tomorrow night's game. I think they'll monitor it to see if there's some coverage, enough coverage to where people can kind of get back to their normal routine. Next game won't be till Monday, and if they postpone that one, then the next game won't be till Wednesday. So they could end up having enough time to get back to normal without having to change venues. How they replace the games, I actually don't have a memory to what they do when that happens. What would they do, especially if it would be at the very least you have the same team at least that they may postpone both games, let's say. What do they do with that? Do they play those games on a back-to-back when both teams are off for like 4 or 5 days somewhere in the schedule? Do they fly in the Charlotte Hornets to play when there's a nice little gap between the two? I don't know.
Or worse, do they go ahead if, let's say, the Lakers have a game in San Antonio, do they pack it on there instead of a home game for the Lakers?
How would they put that in the books? Would it be would the tickets be sold to Laker fans only for that San Antonio game?
If it was in San Antonio, most likely not. Yeah, they would just get any tickets they would just make those tickets available, and it still would be, even if you wanted to make the Lakers the home game in San Antonio, it would still be, of course, a home game for San Antonio because of just the sheer amount of fans that would be there over what the Lakers would be. So, it's up to the NBA, but there are viable alternatives. They could have gone with a game on tomorrow. I don't see why they couldn't have proceeded forward with it. I think it wouldn't have been in bad taste. So you tell me. So I would with the game, Joe. Wouldn't you have, just as a distraction for the city? So
Has nothing to do with distractions or non-distractions. There's a logistical issue, I believe, that's going on, and I don't think they want to deal with it. And I think it's the right call.
Okay.
Yeah, there's too much.
Even if the team
they have to bring in the National Guard because the parasite scum-sucking pigs that are out there looting, those people should be thrown in the fire. And I would gladly, if I had immunity, gladly love to take on that job. Seriously. Put them in a van, throw them, and just get those motherfuckers right in there for doing what they're doing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd say that probably played a huge factor in this as well.
Okay.
Because the resources have to be focused on the town at this point. And if you guys, any clowns come in here tonight, we're not in the mood tonight. I'm usually all about the heat, but no.
No, we got rid of the range.
We got enough. We got enough heat over here. We don't need any more right now. I'll play games later.
I just banned them. I just got it. We're not in the mood.
Yeah. I mean, if it had some creativity, I might have let it go. But I mean, seriously, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah. We're not going to tolerate it today with what's going on. Have some tact. Read the room. Read the damn room. What an idiot. Absolutely. I'll call him out. What an idiot you are, range prods. Absolute idiot.
You'll go stick a prod up your ass. that would do us all a favor.
But
maybe you'll choke on it.
Joe, I'm not going to sit here and fight you on it. I'm just parlaying.
Oh, you can look if you feel like that it would be a distraction. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I actually think that there is a logistical issue, and there are not enough. I don't. I think the last day or so, some things came up that I don't think they were probably expecting. I mean, I guess this isn't the first time scum sucking pigs loot during a natural disaster or whatever you want to call it. But the fact that they brought in the National Guard, which, by the way, good call. LA finally freaking started getting stuff together there. That that is a good step, and I hope the National Guard lays some freaking ass whooping tonight.
They should have been called in. They should have been called in earlier this week, in my opinion. But that's always expected, Joe. At these days, something like that is unfortunately always expected as far as looters are concerned. That's something they should be able to foresee rather quickly, especially some of the more affluent areas in Southern California, which have been adversely affected by this. You could see the writing on the wall a mile away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's sad. It's a sad situation because it is memories. It's things you can't replace. I know lives are more important, and one life would have been a tragedy. But in this case, I think if there was one positive out of this is there weren't really a lot of people that ended up perishing in this thing. That is the good thing, that people listened, they left, and luckily they're alive, and that's all you can do at this point. And JJ Riddick, his rental home got burned down.
Yes,
and I'm sure that his feelings on that isn't as drastic as those who have been there 40 years, but he probably had stuff in there that I'm hoping he got it out. Although I hope they got it out before the house burned, and then at that point it becomes a little easier to kind of manage that. It's the memories, it's the things that you can't replace that ends up being the biggest tragedy in this, besides someone passing away.
Once again, it is a Lakers Snap Pack. It is, of course, Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. I was surprised to hear that. When I read that it was rented for him. I figured he spent so much time with the Clippers that I thought he had a permanent residence here, but I guess I was mistaken on that. Kind of, I know.
Well, when it comes to a coach in LA, I don't know necessarily if you want to put your flag in anywhere.
But I thought his tenure with the Clippers, he was here so long that I figured he had a permanent residence here. But that was my bad. So
maybe
again,
he did, and he sold the house. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know if I was coaching in LA and I didn't live in LA. I don't know if I don't know what I would do. I don't know if I'd live. I don't know where else you could live that's close to the arena. That's as close as you can live to the arena and kind of have a little bit of space, because everything in LA is congested. So it's probably he probably maybe bit the bullet on that, just to say, look, I'd rather live I'll rent, but I'd rather live somewhere where there's short distances and at least something that has a little bit of room, which I can understand.
So again, if you wanted the distraction like I did, or the Lakers themselves wanted the distraction like they did, unfortunately, we're not going to get it. Has been postponed. Tomorrow night's game against San Antonio Spurs. We'll see if the second game of this home, not exactly back to back, but 2 games in 3 days, same team, San Antonio Spurs, if Monday's game will be adversely affected as well. Yes, Doobie, that is unfortunate. I agree with Joe on that. But let me ask you this, Joe. Even Laker Nick said, start warming up the Honda Center or other venues that could have taken place. If Monday's game is in jeopardy, do you think they're going to start looking at that for the Clippers and the Lakers as far as alternative locations that are away from downtown LA?
It doesn't sound like there's any discussion about that. But then again, I don't know if they're going to want to postpone 4 more games before they have to go on the road.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 6 because I forgot to count the Clipper game. Yeah, it's. I'm going to guess that they're going to try to figure out a way to keep playing at the Crypt, even if they have to cancel Monday's game. At least it's just San Antonio. They can create a back-to-back somewhere with that team. And then Charlotte's the only kind of, we got to figure that one out. So I'm going to take a wild guess that they're not going to go anywhere unless the fires get worse, which it looks like it's not. And then they'll be back Wednesday at the latest. There's a chance they come back Monday, but I think at the latest they'll be back Monday.
Sharon, yeah, we will be getting to some Lakers rumors and how viable and they will be coming up here in a minute. I just wanted to touch on the postponement of both, again, the Clippers and the Charlotte Hornets and the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs on Saturday. Just touch on it a little bit more because these fires have been so devastating, Joe, to the community. I understand there are a lot of affluent areas involved, but there's also some real middle class, hardworking individuals. Their whole families have been affected by this tragedy as well because their houses have been burnt as well in areas that are. And if you don't know, if you know that area like you and I do, you and I've been through that area before. And just seeing that the fact that there's something other than just $1 million mansions that were at stake in this. There were regular homes with regular people that were adversely affected by this. There were also national monuments. There's now over 12,000 buildings, both commercial and residential combined, that have been affected by these fires. And some of these national, the Getty Museum. I've been to the Getty Museum, and it was in danger of being burnt. And also the Hollywood sign, Griffith Observatory. These are places, iconic places in Los Angeles that I have been to on more than one occasion. So to see them, damaged, possibly even destroyed, really absolutely would be quite detrimental and quite sad for the entire city of Los Angeles. That's for sure.
Yeah, everybody's really good at bringing out candles and posting stuff on social media while they're sitting 400 miles away playing with their dongs and their asses. Yeah, it's really easy doing that in your home when you're all cozy and comfortable. But no one seems to learn their lesson. No one seems to understand that you have to adapt to nature. Just like earthquakes. We know earthquakes are coming here and there. You retrofit buildings to combat that. And for some reason, areas in California have not done that. When this all started happening and the wind was getting bad here, Edison is the electrical company here, the power company, and they have been, and it might not be the best organized setup, but they're going, screw it, probably. We're gonna shut off power in certain areas because we're not gonna take a chance. Because if something does happen, guess what? Then they're gonna blame them, right? And certain power is on a grid, and there's gonna be certain places, just like when you have your, when you pop a plug at your home, you're in the they never really get that right in the circuit breaker, right? You never know what the hell anywhere is. You'll go like, well, why the hell is this set up over here in the dining room? And then yet the one next to it is set up in the kitchen. Like, what the hell's going on here? So it's kind of the same thing with the power. A lot of the power that got turned off, and some of these people have had 4 days where they've had no power. Some of these people got, kind of the crap into the stick because they were in that same grid. And of course, they're complaining and they're messaging about how will Edison reimburse them for the food that goes bad in their fridge. So as soon as I start hearing about how the powers that be are a problem, I'm gonna tell you guys this, and it might be a rude awakening. And this is why I'm very, very vicious towards people. These people are sitting in their homes, like I said, playing with their you know whats. And the second something inconveniences them, this is the bullshit that comes out. And this is why these things happen. I'm not here to talk about social situations and whether to pay bills or not pay bills or whatever. I think we could talk about that forever. It's just not going to be something that I think has any solution. But I think common sense is such a horribly created thing in people in general that it's mind boggling to me how, I mean, they actually physically will go on somewhere and complain because they know there's no repercussions other than some people online that don't know them to basically say whatever. But they would never say this in a public forum. They'd never say something like this to people's faces usually because they know that they'd be looked at and judged face to face. In the end, I've been here for a very long time. I was a part of, at that time, in my view, in my lifetime, the worst fire ever in California, which was the Cedar Fire and all those fires in San Diego. And San Diego had, after the '07 fire, there were obviously other fires that had started and they were very, very prepared. Why wasn't LA prepared? They had Malibu burned down. How many times, Gerald? In the last God knows how long? Like,
It
did they
seems
ever
like at
learn?
least once
Yeah.
once every 2 years it
And
happens.
these guys don't, and these people are supposed to be fluent, have a lot of money. They don't have oh, that's right. They're waiting for the people that they assigned to that to take care of it. Well, folks, I saw some people that were in charge over there. Oh man. Oh man. If those people are still there in the next month, it's gonna say, good luck to you. I mean, I've seen ass hats before in high positions, but Jesus, my God, I just can't. I can't. My brain just does not register how I don't give a shit who you are, what you look like, where you're from. If you're not qualified to do the job, your motherfucking ass would never get the job. And I don't care if you stand outside with all your bullshit, yelling, cursing, and demanding stuff. I'd come out there and double bird your ass and say, fuck off. You're never going to be here because you ain't good enough for the job. And and they're getting it. They're getting it from bad decision makers and nature. But, Gerald, what did I just ask you? How many times does Malibu have to burn down before you prepare? This isn't something where we're going to blame it all on one thing. But at the same time, dude, you've had this kind of stuff happen already. It was a warning, at least a warning. At least at some point, you're going to have to figure something out. They didn't figure out shit. And here you are.
I know that a lot of questions are arriving on why the Palisades Reservoir was empty, and that just to me is just it speaks for itself. It absolutely just speaks for itself. But again, a lot of questions need to be answered. Some of this couldn't have been prevented. Those, as far as the fire, the embers, the wind, that's really hard to control as far as that part is concerned. But the fact you ran out of water at several locations trying to fight this fire is absolutely just a shame. Just absolutely ridiculous. And again, this is when the finger pointing starts. The insurance companies run and hide. I know that the state is trying to halt insurance companies from hitting people hard on their homes, or trying not to run. They're trying to run away when they need them the most. So, we'll see what happens. But this is not going to be pretty. We saw what happened, when the Hawaii fire happened, and Lahaina and the insurance companies tried to run and hide, and it just people need to come together when we need it the most.
Yeah, they are, but there also needs to be accountability as well. The insurance thing that made sense to me, I don't know, I don't have confirmation of this. I wasn't a part of these negotiations, obviously, but from what I understand is insurance companies. I know State Farm, which again is really weird that they moved the Rams game to a stadium called State Farm Stadium. They even had a bunch of videos about that on Instagram. But they were going to up the rates because of the fire hazard. But then California stepped in and said, "We're not going to let you." And of course, they're the heroes, right? Oh, they're stopping the insurance companies from gouging people. Okay, I'm gonna be honestly objective on this. Someone might not believe me, but if I have an insurance person come to me and say, "Joe, this is becoming a problem," and I know this because I live near Malibu, right? Let's say I live in the Palisades and I live near Malibu, which is where Malibu's close, right? It would at least make sense to me. Now, the first thing I do is wait, whoa, triple the rates. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Let me see what insurance can kind of take care of that. I live in a flood zone where I live, and they told us that at the beginning of when we bought the house, and they explained what could happen and all that stuff. So I was like, all right, I can make that choice now, which I did, to insure for flooding. Now, where the insurance company can be pieces of garbage is if there's a flood and my place gets flooded, and then they say, "Oh, well, it was actually the wood," something like that, right? Like that part, I'm with you. Like destroy the insurance companies. But in this instance, when I hear that they were trying to triple the rates because they wanted to cover the fire issue, mind you, folks, the Palisades. Gerald, how much money do you think the people in the Palisades are worth? If you had to guess, each. Yeah, 5 million net worth at the very least.
I was gonna say multiple minutes. I would say
Okay.
3 to 4.
I'm going average because there's a lot of people in the Palisades. My wife's grandmother lived there for 40 years before she moved to San Clemente and then eventually passed away. But she lived there for 40 years. I'm very familiar with the Palisades. I remember because we used to go see Kobe's house up the hill. And I went there, I went there for 10 to 12 years for holidays and birthdays and get-togethers. So I'm very familiar with the Palisades. I've driven that place. I've driven that way many a times and stayed there many a times. So I'm going to take a guess that you're looking at the average net worth of each homeowner there is around 5 million. I would like to think that those people could afford guaranteeing that if there is a fire, which has shown itself to be, I think that would be something that should have happened. I think people still have insurance though. I just think I think there might be just a small group that didn't maybe get insured. But how do you have a house without insurance? Like I think all these people have insurance.
Yes.
Right. So
you would think just turning around and looking at the mountains right there, right alongside you, Joe.
Right. Now, the only issue with that is, let's say I'm going to use just a generic name. Let's say Pristine Insurance thought they could get a money grab and get, I don't know, maybe 300 of the residents there. And it's not a State Farm or a Prudential or anything like that, or a Liberty Mutual. So now, what does that company do if there's some like 2-bit operation like the General, the one that Shaq pumps? Are they just going to say, "Oh, we're done for the night"? Probably, right?
Hmm.
That's the problem with that. Those guys are probably going to have the problem if they went the cheap way. So yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen when in 10 days there's new leadership in Washington. How that dynamic between the two coasts is going to work. I think it's already started. Uh, all the news stations are going to have ratings up the yin yang during that time. I'll tell you that.
I believe also as well, it's legend will tell you, the areas affected by the tornadoes, the hurricanes last year and the hurricanes last year, those, it seems like when these catastrophes happen, Joe, that's when these insurance companies try to bail. And they try to bail hard on you, or they try to undervalue things, and they try to go ahead and nitpick and nickel and dime. And that to me is, it should not be unexpected now. I think people need to realize that you pay all these premiums like we do, like you do, Joe. But when you need them the most, if something should happen, you should expect to fight, and you expect it should be like pulling teeth sometimes dealing with these insurance companies.
So how much do you think it's going to cost to? How much do you think it's going to cost to rebuild these homes and these buildings? If you had to take a guess.
I mean, if you want to go out based off the Lahaina ones, because those are like, just because it's in Lahaina and Hawaii, it's, similar value. Uh, what the average is, you're probably talking a little over $1 million, just the average. And if you include Altadena, if you include some of the other areas affected, then you also add in Malibu and the Pacific Palisades, probably talking about over $1 million per house on an average.
And there were 13,000 structures destroyed.
Yeah, I counted. I heard over 12, but yeah, 13. You're probably correct, Joe.
So what are we looking at there? 1 million times 13,000?
Yep, and that would include, you got to include businesses now in the mix and all that. That's
Is it 13?
absolutely.
Is that 13 billion? If I'm
I
saying
think
that right?
I saw the number is 50 billion.
Okay.
Was something that was been tossed around.
Okay. So 50 billion. Uh, State Farm's net worth is 134 billion. I know they're not insuring all those places, but I'm just saying, if there were mainly prominent insurance companies like Liberty Mutual and State Farm, yeah, there's a again, net worth. I know net worth is not liquid, but yeah, to put it in number, being completely ignorant how all this works and just using numbers that I can access. When they do the assessment, there's really nothing to assess. What are they going to do? Go over there and say, "Hey, the fire didn't take your house; it was the smoke." I don't know. That would be a public relations nightmare, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Uh, it is a. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how that would all work, other than a lot of people have bought land out in LA and torn down the older homes and rebuilt a new one, and it looks like they're all going to have to do that now. And all those homes are going to be, I highly recommend this, and I still remember this from years ago. Galveston, Texas, those nice homes that were on the coast, all of them were destroyed by a hurricane. I can't remember which hurricane it was. And then there was this one house that looked like it hadn't even been touched by anything. That guy was interviewed, and he said, "I put everything to handle a Category 5 hurricane." Some guys are like that, but most aren't. And I hope everyone thinks about that on their next build, should they be able to afford it. And there's most people there can, and that's one of the few things that at least is okay there. The problem now is what's going on in North Carolina and Tennessee. That those guys are still living in tents.
Exactly.
No, they got $750, by the way.
Yeah.
They got $750. And I can go into a whole different area on that one, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me what side of the coast you're getting it. When tragedies like this happen, they just never get enough help in an expedient enough time. Whatever coast you live on, whatever state you live in, whether it's red or blue, my observations over my 55 years of life had said that you don't get the kind of help you need right away when you need it from these entities, from these outlets, whether it's insurance, FEMA, what have you. It just doesn't come soon enough, or it doesn't come to the amount that you want to rebuild.
Yeah, it's a lesson that I preach as much as I can. This is way before any bad things, COVID, all that. I have preached this over and over again. And I keep telling everyone this. It doesn't matter who's there. No one cares. I was in a lawyer's office and I was listening to siblings fight over their dead father's money. And you would have thought these people were mortal enemies. I have no respect for people like that. And all that is because everyone wants something that they didn't really necessarily earn. Well, start earning on your own, folks. Stop. This is America. Do shit on your own. No one's going to come stop you when you want to protect your stuff. That's the beautiful thing about America is the government could come do things, but they won't here. As long as you're not hurting people and things like that. Oh, unless you have a secret that would solve cancer or something. You know what I'm talking about, right, Gerald? I'm not
Yes.
going to go. I mean, I know there's exceptions, but the rule says if I wanted to build a Category 5 earthquake retrofitted tornado home, I'd have to pay up the yin yang in permits and material, but I can do it. Well, Joe, I can't afford it. Well, folks, then you have to figure out an alternative. Maybe stash your really, really important jewelry, your memories somewhere where you know, hey, if something went down, I don't give a damn about the TV or the shredder or the printer, tables. I don't care about any of that. That would be the least costing way to do it. And as far as California is concerned, hell was in LA and it's still in LA right now. It's dying down, but hell is coming to those who made bad decisions behind the scenes and didn't learn their lessons.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, aka Ox 1947, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. And truly appreciate it. So again, if you have not heard, they have officially canceled the game tomorrow between the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs. Also, for Charlotte and Clippers fans, the Charlotte Clippers game has also been canceled at this point in time. So, Joe, we are here though, but while the fires continue to rage, and I posted in the chat a link to check out exactly how much has been taken care of as of earlier today. So if you wanted to go ahead and refer to that, you can find out exactly how much of the fires have been contained in each one of them. If you want to know about that, yeah, go ahead and check out that article. But while the fires continue to rage, Joe, the rumorville and the rumor mill keeps on flowing. That doesn't stop, as far as some of these individuals, for lack of a better term, they want to go ahead and keep on putting out those rumors. So I thought you and I would discuss them to go ahead and talk about some Laker things before we head on out. And first thing I want to discuss is something that Quabina did share with us. Kind of snapped at him, so sorry about that, Quabina. So I do apologize for that, but I thought that was something needed to be explained a little bit better. So Chris Davis, someone named Chris Davis, not really an accredited reporter of any note that I've ever heard of before. He said his sources saying that Toronto Raptors and the LA Lakers have engaged in trade discussions centered around a potential deal sending Bruce Brown to LA in exchange for Rui Hashimura, Gabe Vincent, and multiple 2025 second round picks. It can only be two, Joe, because we only have two. The Lakers are looking to shed salary while adding Brown's championship experience for a boost in the short term. I'm going to explain why this would be a bad deal for Toronto. And if I know you're not a Masai Ujiri fan, but even a Masai Ujiri would never blink twice at not accepting this proposal. But your thoughts on something like this, as far as a rumor staying a rumor or not?
Aaron, that's funny you said that. That was the first guy that I thought of too. The 0 for 50 guy. That's good. Well, in that deal, Masai gets what he wants. He gets a burnt out. Yeah, he gets 2 first-round picks for a bum, and actually a decent player in Rui. I don't know what they're not trading. If they didn't trade 2 first-round picks or a first-round pick for DeJounte Murray, you think they're going to do it for Bruce Brown? Bruce Brown is this generation's Eric Dampier. He is a oh man, he is the contract year bum. He is. I would not trade a 1 first-round pick for him. I would trade, and by the way, I wouldn't trade Rui either. I would give them Gabe Vincent and another player and maybe a couple second rounders, sure. But I ain't giving anything to Masai. No first for Bruce Brown. Give me a freaking break. No way.
Well, let me just explain to you why this would be a terrible deal for Masai. First off, $23 million Bruce Brown comes off the books at the end of the season. So that's $23 million off your cap if you just let him play. So why would you let that go unless you're being heavily incentivized to do it? Rui Hashimura doesn't change their mix in Toronto any substantial amount for a team that is really, really bad this year. So I don't know what that would do. And if you want Gabe Vincent's contract added onto it, Mr. 3 points a game, you'd have to give me more than some second round picks in order to go ahead and take it now, because he's just absolutely been putrid. And by the way, Joe, guess how many games Bruce Brown has played so far this season?
4.
Almost right, Joe. 5. What is his 3-point percentage in those 5 games?
31%.
17. 31%, as I believe, is around where he's shooting overall, to give you an idea. So this is what you would trade for. Not only do I have, if I'm a Masai Ujiri, not only am I sending away $23 million coming off my cap, but I'm getting guys that are extra money, that are not really going to help move my situation any better, especially if I'm trying to go ahead and rebuild this team. So
anyone who gives a first-round pick for Bruce Brown that's not protected up to 90, that doesn't exist, but you know what I'm doing, where I'm going with that, is a complete and utter moron, and no one is doing it. Sorry. Bruce Brown is not going to change anything for your team. And I'm not giving up. I mean, I don't even know how that guy does this guy have a job with that stupid ass rumor?
Well, it's just the base of the fact he signed that big fat front loaded contract because he wanted to sign a long term with Denver, but they couldn't commit to the money. They didn't have enough money, Kroenke.
No, they had enough money, but they were geniuses in not signing a contract year wonder.
But they didn't want to commit to that much money. I don't think they were allowed to sign that much over the cap for him. So they had to let him walk as free agent because that's when he signed with Indiana on the 2-year deal. And then with this 2-year deal, it was very front loaded. It's very, it's very expensive for a reason, but it's all based off the play he gave in the playoffs and especially in the finals. And we, you and I've seen this before where a player plays at the right time in the right place and they get rewarded for it with a big fat contract, and then they revert back to the means to what they were before, Joe.
Terrible decision by Indiana, but they did trade him away and get something of value.
Siakam, that's been
That's
good.
good. That's good. And maybe that's probably why they did that. Hey, if he sucks, we can trade him for something. If not, that's the NBA. Maybe sometimes transactions can work. However, this is different, folks. This is a free agent signing. So free agent signing, you don't give up any assets, obviously. It makes a little bit more sense because the collective bargaining agreement has a floor that you have to spend. Therefore, these teams have to make those numbers work. Then they traded him for Siakam. Hasn't really helped all that much, unfortunately. I thought they'd be better than they are, but they can't seem to stay healthy either, or the chemistry's not really working at this point. The process makes sense, but not in this scenario. Denver did they very smart decision, and they had Brown anyways to replace him. They didn't really have to worry about that. They had a replacement for him. And Toronto, I just don't understand where this thinking came. I don't. This guy has to be either the dumbest media guy. I don't even know who the hell it is. I haven't seen this trade.
This Chris Davis. I don't know who he is.
Yeah, he's probably some bum.
He doesn't even list his. He goes to Twitter. You see his Twitter account. You don't even see his listing of what is he part of Bleacher Report? Is he part of this? No, it's just some dude. That's who he is. Some dude. He's a report breaking news in all sports and sports related content. He's just some dude who says he has sources, and then you go to his Twitter page, and then it's just a lot like us. We retweet out Shams and whoever it is that's making news, Chris Haynes or Bobby Marks or whoever's actually really making the news at this point in time. So yeah, I could take that one as far as I could spit on that one. But yeah, if Masai Ujiri makes a trade like this, I think his career in Toronto is over, because absolutely, why would you let that kind of money walk off? There's a possibility they could trade him, but to get $23 million off the books is advantageous for teams at this point in time. And if you want him, you're going to have to do a lot more than just a couple second round picks, I think, in order to get that, just because it's so attractive, no matter how bad.
You're awesome.
No, hey, thank you so much. Appreciate you, Daniel. Truly appreciate you doing that. Truly appreciate you supporting us.
What did Daniel Berry do?
I believe he subscribed.
Daniel, you've been here this long. You hadn't subscribed?
I'm maybe another Daniel. So Daniel Berry.
Another Daniel Berry?
Yeah. Maybe
a
sure? Daniel. Oh, he's a member. That's right. He's a member now for 3 months. Thank you, Daniel Berry.
Oh, that's why it was a different
yell. It's a different yell. But yeah, it just absolutely truly appreciate you doing that, Danny. But let me ask you this, Joe. There are other trades that are out there. In fact, I want to get something to what Xbox was saying earlier. I'm not going to say it's impossible to move Gabe, but he is so unattractive right now, averaging 3 points a game, has another $10 million a year on another contract. So it's not a huge contract, that you're taking off when you shed the salary. So if you're the opposing GM, if you call me, Joe, as the GM of the Lakers, and you offer Gabe in a trade, it's like it's not a whole lot coming off the books for me, after next season. So it's not really that attractive. So in essence, what is the player like? And he's been a injured, hit almost completely in his first season and 3 points the next. How really attractive is Gabe Vincent as a trade piece?
Well, based off the information today in New Orleans by Mr. Zion Williamson, I would say.
Did he oversleep? I think was late.
There's been rumors.
He was late for the plane. That's why I know he was.
It's not the first time he's been late, apparently, allegedly. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to figure out, is this guy trying to eat his way out of there? I would say this. I would call New Orleans and say, what do you want for Zion? And are you willing to sit down with Zion and say, listen, we're considering sacrificing 2 first-round picks for you. And we're going to send some money over there, obviously, to match contracts. Where are you at? Are you going to play, or are you going to keep eating? Because his contract doesn't run out till 2028. You'd have to really risk. The other question I have is, who else would be interested in Zion Williamson and would be willing to take a risk?
I think the Spurs have been mentioned most prominently on that.
Okay,
by the way,
the Spurs are too rigid for a Zion Williamson, who kisses stars' ass more than anybody, but usually can get them to perform.
were you talking about Pops?
The Lakers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Does that tickle his fancy? Does New York figure out a way to finally get him to where he wanted to go? I don't know if New York wants to do that. Especially, I mean, Thibodeau would be an interesting coach for him, right? He would run him to death, right? To the point where maybe he'd get into shape that way. But I would say I could sit down with Zion and figure out if he would work harder, if he were to be a Laker.
But the problem is, Joe, trading D'Lo. See, this is why.
No, they have enough money. They have enough money that they could put together to get him. He's only making 36.
So
he's not making 50. He's not like Levine, where he's making 48.
Okay, so
50.
they have to trade Hashimura. They'd have to trade Finney Smith. That's 31.
Let me look. Hold on.
And then you'd have to probably trade Shafino to get close. Unless you wanted to trade Reeves.
Definitely, I'd say definitely. I think I'm pretty sure that they'll want Austin Reeves.
So it'd be.
So here's my thinking: Rui, Austin Reeves, and Gabe Vincent to make the contracts kind of make sense. Those are all. You'll probably put a filler in there somewhere. Maybe
you're going to have to sell, because that's $11 million, Joe. Gabe Vincent. That's just, he is just so unattractive. His PER is
done next
under
year.
5.
His contract's done next year.
But it doesn't take a whole lot. With the salary cap and on, with the bumps they keep on getting, 11 million is just not a whole lot.
But they're clearing Rui's contract too next year. They're clearing almost $30 million next year in that deal, and they clear Jalen's contract at the end of the year, and then they get a very good basketball player in Austin Reeves, and they get two draft picks. Probably one of them is a non-protected one.
So who's your guards when Zion comes there? Point Zion? Point LeBron?
Yeah, you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to make another trade.
Whoops! Yeah. I forgot.
It would have to be. Look at it this way. You would probably have to get. You'd probably have to get. It would have to. They'd have to get some kind of a backup point guard, and then LeBron would have to be the primary. And then you're going to have to run LeBron the last 30 plus games after the deadline.
Yeah. And
then hope he has enough juice for the playoffs. Is Tyrus Jones available, you think?
Tyus Jones?
Yeah. Tyus.
On Phoenix. Yeah, he's the starting point guard on Phoenix. So you would have to ask Phoenix. And remember, they can only trade him because they can't bundle players because they're in the second tax apron.
So I remember hearing something about him, but I don't know this. There's going to be a fire sale in Phoenix, I think. So that's why I was thinking about Phoenix. Maybe the Lakers look like they're going to have to do probably a 3-team type setup to get a guard. So Phoenix, New Orleans, Lakers, do they do something there? I don't know.
And you would give up 2 firsts for Zion because that's probably what.
Oh yeah. But I would have to sit down with Zion and really see where his head is.
Xbox, do you really want Kuzma back? His shooting has gotten even worse, and they've just given him the green light in Washington. It's not, yeah, Xbox. I mean, I love Kuz. I cannot thank Kuz enough for what he did for us. He was one of my favorite players when he first came onto the Lakers, but he's like Brown, $23 million, Joe, and that's another 3 years for a guy that just can't shoot and takes a lot of shots. I mean, I'm sure you could get him back in the swing as far as playing the defense that he played the championship run. I don't have any qualms about that, but man, he never developed as an offensive player. Yeah, he always averages 20 points a game, but look at his percentages. They're not good. Sharon, the thing with Kessler, though, I know that we at the Lakers rumors, that's one also the rumors, the one that Joe mentioned as far as the Sexton Kessler. First of all, I think it does make the Lakers better, but only incrementally. I think they're just rotation guys. Kessler is only worth $3 million, Joe, on that contract, and he is a starting center in the league. Yeah, put out. Why again? If you have a player like that, Joe, who has some promise and is only worth $3 million to you right now on your contract, what would prompt you to getting him off your team? I mean, he's playing well. He was struggling most of this season, but has started to really play well for them as of late, along with Sexton. And I did make a trade the other day, as far as with you guys on the email chat, that added Bryce Sensabaugh there, who'd been really killing it off the bench. But a couple of these guys are really cheap. Sensabaugh and Kessler are on rookie contracts. Really, it's going to take a lot to get those guys somewhere else. Like same thing with Richards in Charlotte. He's on a rookie contract. For these guys at $2, $3, $4 million that are productive for these teams, Joe, they're hard to come by.
I don't know what kind of deal Angie. I think Ange wants the kitchen sink.
But I mean, if you're running Utah or if you're running Charlotte and you have these productive players, that cost so little, do you
Why would you want to get rid of them?
Yeah, why would you want to get rid of them?
Unless you feel like you don't want to pay them more money later. I have no idea what Danny wants.
If it's the year before their extension, I get it. If you don't think
what is Danny's goal here? Is he to tank enough to maybe get Cooper Flagg? Is Cooper Flagg a elite star of the future? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm the hype machine in terms of the first pick of the NBA has changed for me in so many ways, because we've done our homework on that. And the fact that in the 77 years of the existence of the BAA/NBA, you've had only one, and this is astonishing when I look back on it, one first overall pick that has been part of a dynasty and stayed with that team the entire time. One. And that gentleman's name is Tim Duncan. That stat was a shock when I saw that. You look at Kareem, you look at Shaq, you look at all those great players of Magic. That's the other one. I didn't even include Magic. That was a terrible miss. Magic and Tim Duncan, only two.
Again.
Would you say James Worthy? James Worthy?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I made a mistake on that one. I didn't pay attention to Laker players. Magic and Worthy and then you have Tim Duncan. You have very few first overall picks that go dynasty length and stay with the same team.
I just find it hard to see if why you would want to trade away productive players unless you didn't like Ingram in the case Ingram that even if New Orleans traded Zion, they're still going to probably trade. I know Kurt said this. They're probably still going to trade Ingram because they don't feel he's worth that max extension. But these kids like Kessler and Richards, you could probably sign her for like $17 to $20 million a year, and that would still be a decent value deal for those kind of players. As far as on the extension for those guys, so I don't see how trading them would service you well. I mean, you draft these players to see if you could develop them, and like the Lakers who have zero patience. In some cases warranted with JHS. In some cases it's not, as we saw with Alex Caruso and others in the past that have gone on. Zubats, Mo Wagner. I know Mo Wagner was needed as far as to move his money in order to get, believe it was AD at the time. But still, I mean, you could have found ways to go ahead and keep them. Alex Caruso again, the Zubats. These players that developed into something much better, or something that you would hope to have seen them do with the Lakers. But I just don't know. I just cannot see Ainge or the GM in Charlotte trading these valuable pieces when they're so cheap right now.
February 6th is the trade deadline, the end of the line.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Pelinka has 27 days to become a legend, or the same schmuck that he's been for the last 3 years.
Because the DFS trade is not going to move the needle, as we've seen. It's a nice trade for what it is. You said it gets rid of make a positive of getting rid of the negative. I'm not going to sit here to tell you differently on that, Joe, because in that essence, I agree with you, because we saw the same thing 2 years ago when D'Lo was traded to here from Minnesota. He was a negative when he was on the floor, and it was a positive when he was off the floor. So they deduced that they needed to trade him, and they did. Same thing happened with the Lakers. I think this is just who D'Angelo Russell is, whether or not it's off the court or on the court. It's just he's going to be that type of player for the most part that just causes these issues.
This leadership is not capable of likely making the right moves. They've been making horrible moves since the AD trade.
The trade, yes.
And all you who've witnessed only a Western Conference Final appearance the last few years, you guys can go ahead and put that banner like the idiot in Indianapolis does, or whatever the hell the Clippers do with their division titles. You can go put that in your room in the ceiling as a reward. All I remember from that run was Vanderbilt being rendered useless and Jokic destroying the team for 4 games. This team is constructed to win championships, not to get swept in the Western Conference Finals. If they had gone 7 games and lost to Denver, that's a different situation. If they had gone to the finals and lost in 7 games, that's a different situation. But to get to the Western Conference Finals as a Laker with LeBron James, arguably the greatest of all time, still got a lot of juice in him, right? Right, yes. Gerald? Right? And AD, who was supposed to be the best talent of his generation. Sorry, folks, if I'm expecting more. Just saying, Rob Pelinka has not a clue how to do his work. He's a general manager. I don't believe he knows how to create a team or train a team. He's good at making sure there are enough Post-its in order and making sure the secretaries know where to go for lunch. That's what he's good for. He's a company man. He's a yes man. If he saw he's the type of guy where if he saw weird things going on in the office, he'd still shut his mouth because he's a pussy. That's the kind of guy he is. And Jeannie's too busy imagining things, hopeful and flowers and whatever the hell it is that she does. So I don't have a lot of confidence in weak people like that.
Have the Lakers made any type of overture on donations to any of the organizations involved? You know what? I know you smacked Disney, but Disney did drop 15 mil to help support the virus and families. I'm not saying you take what it is. I'm just telling you what was announced. Have the Lakers or the Clippers or the league offered to do anything?
Not that I've heard of.
Yeah, okay. I'm hoping they will. So I'm just saying. It's just
If somebody makes a stink, they would, because they're cowards like that.
Like the PPP thing.
Mm-hmm. She will never live that down in my book.
You know how vicious I was on that before. I still am. It burns me like the Jerry West thing for you.
Gerald, I'm a small business. I didn't take one of those out.
Yeah,
I'm a small business. I didn't take one of those out. So, for someone that has a $10 billion team that would sell for $10 billion, an iconic franchise, to embarrass herself and the organization to get a PPP loan when people are struggling, that tells you, those little things will tell you so much about people. It will. It'll tell you a lot. And the only reason why she returned the money is because she got caught. Look, Gerald, I'm telling you, man, I've been on this planet 46 years. I'm going to be on this planet, hopefully 47 on March 1. Mm-hmm. There's nothing you're going to be able to trick me on. There's nothing. Every little thing will tell you about everyone. We're all human. We make mistakes. We make a bad decision with who we spend time with, things like that. Maybe you're in a marriage and you have one night where things went astray. I get those things. Human mistakes are different than calculated decisions. So if somebody comes to me and says, Joe, I had an affair, and it was a one night thing, and I messed up, I made a bad mistake, right? I'm like, hey man, I hope everything goes well for you. But if I find out you had this affair and you got this person a condo and Mercedes, you pay for all her gifts and her clothes and all that, I'm like, dude, that's not a mistake. That's a calculated decision. A PPP loan is a calculated decision. And those little things, rich, poor, doesn't matter what neighborhood you're on. Yeah, you're gonna get the wrath from people like me. I've never done an insurance fraud thing. I know that I can never prove it, right? Because you all don't really know me. I could be a crook, I could be lying, but I haven't. I didn't take
comments. The commenters still say you are, but
that's fine. I always say, whatever you think I am, you're probably right. Because what difference does it make?
Still love the narcissist one. I still love it. He thought he had you. He thought he had you. And then once you started agreeing with him and you started on a 10-minute diatribe complimenting the guy, the guy was just befuddled and like, oh, I don't know what to say.
Because when you usually use derogatory comments towards someone, it's usually people get offended. Either there's two reasons why. Either they're just soft, or what is the old saying I said a few times is hit a nerve, hit a target? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. Okay, here's a soft conversation. If in let's say 2 years, let's say today I am on a bodybuilder diet. The only thing I'm not going to do that most bodybuilders do is I'm not going to use any gear. For those of you who don't know what gear is, it's performance enhancing drugs. Okay, let's say, Gerald, in the next 24 months, I am going to eat perfect, and I am going to work out 6 days a week, and I am going to be natural. I would be in the best shape of my life if I was to do that, even at 46, because I got good muscle memory, and I've been working out since I was 13. Someone is going to see my physique, because I'm pretty sure after 2 years, I'd look shredded to all hell. I was never ever shredded to all hell because I've never gone 2 years straight, but I was pretty shredded growing, when I was younger. There's going to be someone that's going to say this guy juiced. And it doesn't matter what I say. So what difference does it make? It doesn't matter. They're not there to really know. It just makes them feel good because now their lazy ass is sitting on their thumbs, eating, Skittles and drinking Mountain Dew, and then criticizing someone for juicing when they don't really know. So, does it matter? It really doesn't matter. However, in the discussion now, those things matter because those people tell you who they are. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that you might think are good people, they might be crooks behind the scenes too. You never know. So you kind of got to always keep a distance a little bit. But let's use Freddie Freeman as an example. Freddie Freeman donated $300,000 to the relief. And Freddie Freeman has shown, even when he was in Atlanta, that this guy was a stand-up guy. Could he, in 10 years, we find out he was some weirdo? Sure. But is it likely? Probably not. So I'm going to put my faith in the fact that I'm never going to probably meet Freddie Freeman, but I'm going to put my faith in that he's a good man and does really, really good things even behind doors. But there's most people you could see it. Most people. There's always the exception. Again, always the exception. But most people will tell you who they are really, really quickly. I got to see them live. Live, I'm probably at 99% where I could figure you out. Probably within the first 20 minutes. But that's because I've had a lot of practice in my field. I talk to people every day. I go to their homes, all walks of life. Big homes, small homes, apartments, condos, Southern California, Arizona, Northern California, Central California. I've met thousands of people in my business, and you will get a good read on a lot of people, and you'll be able to use that as a barometer in your life for anything. Going to the grocery store, going to an amusement park, you'll be able to gauge. You can gauge people sometimes by how they walk. It's probably why I don't have to deal with a lot of stuff. I can sense it. I know where not to be. So, Lakers, with all due respect, there's really two options here for us the Laker fandom. Either Rob Pelinka pulls a rabbit out of a hat that would give the Lakers a legitimate player or players to compete for a championship, or this will crash and burn at some point, probably in the first round of the playoffs. Should they make it there? That's still kind of, jury's still out on that right now. And now they have an excuse, Gerald. As much as this pains me to say, now they have an excuse. If things don't go well, LeBron is really good with excuses. They'll blame the fire as a focus changer for them. And then they're out of it because everybody will kiss their ass. I mean, those guys on Sportsnet. And one of my good friends, the lady that does all my gear, my Sin Blades gear, she's cousins with Geeter.
Really?
Yes. And of course, the lovely Allie Clifton is a LeBron sexual, whatever they call him, to the up team. They brought her from Ohio for that, right?
We've been called that before.
And that is something that that tells you a lot about somebody, that you need a media person to bring with you to keep things leveled.
Now, Sharon brings up a good point. She says LeBron wants another championship. And I'm like, does he really want another championship? I mean, the Russell Westbrook move, I mean, anybody astute could see that coming. Like I did, that was a terrible fit. The fact that we have such a depleted roster outside our top two players, I mean, it just goes back to the argument we had like a month ago in regards to if he really wanted a championship, could he have said, "I only need 30 million. Just get us another piece in here. Maybe not bring in Bronny. Bring us another quality player here for the minimum or close to it." Does he really want another championship? I mean, I'm sure he would like it, but is he really willing to do what it takes, Joe? Really?
Has he really?
I don't know, Sharon. And I mean no disrespect to you at
Has
all.
LeBron really? The question is, has LeBron really done what is necessary in a full career to win? Does he do it? If you look at his career, well, 4 championships, 3 championships with 3 different teams, all the accolades, all the training that's kept himself healthy. Sure, sure. But I think there was much like Shaq's career, also another career that was amazing. I believe because of their selfishness to themselves, not so much selfishness to try to. Kobe was selfish too. Michael was selfish too, but they were selfish so that they can win. Shaq was selfish because he wanted respect, he wanted to get paid. LeBron is selfish because he wants to do it his way. I'm not saying Kobe didn't want to do it his way, but it was the goal was to win. And actually, I don't even know if that's true if he wanted to do it his way. A good example, I'm watching Kobe Bryant accept the Finals MVP in 2010,
Mm-hmm.
and he's thanking Pau Gasol. Is that a selfish player? Now, forward 10 years later, what is LeBron saying on the stage when he received his Finals MVP? Give me my damn respect. I. All it takes is 20 minutes max for me to really get an idea of who you are. Why when LeBron came, there were murals being painted and people were painting over? They were spray painting it. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I'll just say this, Joe. Jalen Brunson. Yeah. Jalen Brunson did make a sacrifice in order to try and help build a better roster. Uh, again, could he have done more? Yeah, absolutely. But this is a guy who came in as a second round draft choice, did not get a initial first round, big contract and all that. So him signing for anything substantial because of the way he plays and how good a level he plays is understandable. But he did make sacrifices so that the team could go and get players. And had LeBron done that, Sharon, I just think that probably would have sent so much of a better message to me and to a lot of other individuals out there. But closing out this conversation on LeBron, Joe, we received a back and forth communication from someone. I guess it was on our 40th birthday video that we did for LeBron, and he kept going back and forth. I had to correct him, and it was, saying, if you have something that you don't like about what Joe says, please do not be generalistic in your comments. Please, I'm begging you, have some common sense. One does not mean all does not mean one. So please identify the person who actually made the statement before you make your comment and retort. And this kept going back and back and back. You guys. I had to correct him. And he said, "Oh, I mean just Joe. I'm so sorry. I'm so Joe. So okay, fine."
Well,
Got
it's normal
well, let
banter.
me just finish this. The thing he was saying was that we're going to be so glad when LeBron is gone, and you guys are wallowing in as far as a terrible team for years, just like it was during the last decade. I'm like, well, that's only because again, how you rebuild. Who do you have to rebuild this? With Rob, I have no confidence that he can rebuild this properly. So it kind of rock at a hard place, Joe. LeBron leaves. Many of us do want to see him leave, whether it's you, me, or whoever. Do we want to trade? Do we want to blow up the team? Do we think that's best? Maybe, maybe not. I know we've made our statements in the past. I'll leave that up to you guys. But what I worry about is, let's say that they do blow it up and LeBron decides to leave and wants to suddenly, invoke a no trade clause and say, you know what, I want to waive that to go to this team. We trade AD and all that, and we're left with the aftermath. I don't trust Rob to rebuild it. So we're kind of rocking a hard place. Maybe the best thing is to rebuild it, but the person rebuilding is not the best contractor in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like the homes and the fires. It's like if okay, maybe the best thing is to rebuild these homes, but you look at the guy that's ready to rebuild these homes, it may not be the best person for the job, Joe.
If LeBron was 30, I would not want him to go. For the record. He's still a transcendent megastar player. The reason why we've suggested LeBron retire because the longer this situation stays, and we know that they're not going to be able to win a championship, the longer it's going to take for you to get back to contending. I'm going to say this again. We are Laker fans. I would have said this about anyone. Kobe even. Gasol, when he got traded, I love Pau Gasol. Love him forever. Laker fans love Pau Gasol. Mark loves Pau Gasol. We love Pau Gasol. I will always love him. But when he was a part of that trade for CP3, I didn't hesitate and say, wow, that's a good trade.
Because you knew where it was going with Pau.
Yes, and it did. It did go that way. You have to understand, at that time, Pau had played in his 12th season. Big men don't last or are not effective once they get into the teens. Some are, but it's very rare. And even then, they're not going to be the best players like they were before. Just too much wear and tear for the bigs. I mean, let's use Shaq as an example. Shaq came in the league in 1992. And then would you say that 2005 was his last Shaq season?
It started to go from there.
Right? When he won in 06, he was more like the second guy. Right? There you go. It was perfect. It was the perfect time for that to go. And unfortunately, it went the way it did. And in the end, I don't know what the solution is going to be. I have to use kind of extreme situations because I'm trying to think of quicker ways to get it done. And it's not going to be done quick.
Intel, I'm just saying, in agreement with Sharon, the Diddy jokes are old. The Diddy jokes. I mean, the first week is ha 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 ha. 2 weeks.
I'm sorry, that was my fault. I was making a joke. But it had nothing to do with LeBron, by the way. But I know I probably should have said it.
6 to 8 weeks later, it's just they're old. The Diddy jokes. Let's just move on. He's not getting accused of anything. He's not being part of any suit. It's just old at this point in time. Can we just move on from the Diddy jokes? That's all I'm asking, Intel, because they're just, to me, they're no longer funny. And to Sharon, obviously, they're no longer funny. But for me, they're just no longer funny because it's just like you've been beating that, in this case, to death with those jokes. And it's just, I see them all the time, Intel. When you see them all the time, it just becomes not funny anymore. So that's all. It just becomes like a desperate thing to keep on making a joke about. So, and I'm sure that more people are going to bring up more Diddy stuff. They're going to bring in more. They'll bring it again. It'll be like clockwork jokes. So I know it will never stop. It's just that I'm in agreement with Sharon when I say I just think the joke's over. It's no longer funny. It's like someone forgot to tell that person that joke is no longer funny with the Diddy joke. So I don't know if he's a great dad or not. Xbox. I mean, I wouldn't have given him the advice that LeBron gave him in going to the league, but financially, it's been a windfall for Bronny. So I guess I was wrong on that one too. So he's made millions of dollars off of jersey sales and merchandise sales alone. So uh, Bronny is now set for life, and he doesn't have to even worry about any of his dad's money. So. Yeah, I know they're not should be tired anymore, Aaron. They wanted to play today. They wanted in practice today. They wanted to play tomorrow, but unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. Yes, I know Kurt mentioned it earlier. Vando was optioned down to South Bay so that he could practice with South Bay, but then before lunchtime, he was optioned back up again to the Lakers to be able to practice with them. So he's getting in some practice time with both South Bay and the Lakers. So he is closer to return. If you're a big supporter like Jamie is, Jamie Sweet with the Lakerholics crew, then he is on the way, Joe. So there you go. I mean, you'll have to talk about Vando. I know you said you didn't want to talk about Vando, but there you go. There you go, M24. For anyone who needs food, water, clothes, shoes, they have a donation center at Santa Anita, California Mall parking lot. Yes, that is awesome. Truly appreciate you putting that up there, M24. Once again, that is anybody who needs water, clothes, shoes. They have a donation center at Santa Anita, California Mall parking lot for the victims of this terrible tragedy. So truly appreciate you putting that M24. And I just put some of the organizations, the legitimized organizations that are taking support of, that they could really use your help as well. So whether you do, you don't, I'm just leaving them out there for you. So you decide what you can do and cannot do. If you cannot afford it, there's no problem there. But Joe, 805 says the Knicks are highly overrated. Yeah, they're not the defensive juggernaut I thought they were going to be. They're much more reliant on their offense with Cat and Brunson. I don't know how far that's going to be, but Sharon says 2 foot surgeries. He may never be 100%. Don't forget the knee that flared up on his comeback that had to slow down. Did you hear about the one with Deshaun Watson re-tearing his Achilles? Man, not just one Achilles tear with him. It's now two.
Well, the Deshaun Watson story is one of just sadness. He should have been a better version of Lamar Jackson, but he chose to be a pervert when he didn't have to be. Just mind-boggling to me it's mind-boggling to me how absolutely stupid people can be. And there's no repercussions for stupidity. It's mental health. It's, oh, well, something happened to them last weekend and they weren't thinking straight. And then the Cleveland Browns just continuously just live up to their name of Browns because they're just pure shit. All this is going on, and they give him the largest guaranteed contract in NFL history. Really? Really? That's who you wanted leading your franchise? The Cleveland Browns have a storied franchise. Jim Brown, Paul Brown, your Otto Graham, Bernie Kosar. I mean, you guys, this is a iconic franchise, and this is what you do. Just stupid. And I would highly, highly recommend that somebody in his leeches of fandom or someone that gives a damn. Dude, just retire. Just go somewhere else. Go to a cabin and just go get away from everybody and go live your life without any publicity.
Are you saying they should have some self-discipline? Because we had a self-discipline in the chat who chose not to choose self-discipline. So,
well, is it discipline or just stupid? I think it's stupidity. Discipline is going to the gym when you're tired. Discipline is not eating 14 cookies. Discipline is focusing on the tasks at work instead of leaving it for next time and next time and next time, affecting the operation. His decision making is not that. It's not discipline. It's pure just hedonism.
Kurt, I'm sorry, Joe. Kurt affair again. Did you read that one?
Yeah, I'm gonna show it.
Jeez,
you don't think about your family, your parents, your just. I don't understand. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You could hire someone that's willing to do it, and you could probably hire a pretty good one. I'm sorry, 1 second, Gerald. I have somebody at the warehouse that might.
At 11:30 at night at your warehouse?
Might be.
Dang.
I don't see anything. It might be my battery running out on one of my sensors.
Somebody's trying to rip you off. That might be good.
No, I can see. I have cameras there, so.
By the way, tomorrow for the playoffs, it is the Texans and the Chargers at 1:30. The Ravens and Steelers at 5. Who else? Those are the only games tomorrow. And we discussed all those games on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. So you want to check it out. It is on this channel on the YouTube, but it's also available if you want to listen on your audio form. I put it on 2 channels, the Inside Sports Fantasy Football audio channel and the Pop Culture Cosmos channel as well. And I noticed, I do want to thank Henry Hill. He wanted to drop and said, Gerald, you're putting out 2 episodes at times. I said, yeah, that's because Spotify was trying to get you to do a video podcast, but I noticed not everybody on Spotify wants to watch the video podcast version. So I put out a video and an audio podcast version out there. So if it's a duplicate, I will list it out for the people on Apple Podcasts going forward. So there we go. But yeah. Do you want to tell Aaron your thoughts on it? I mean, to give them a little.
Yeah, Ravens beat the Steelers, and I think Chargers they're favorite against Houston.
Will we get next time we talk then, or will we get a Tomlin rant?
No,
if they lose.
No. I got enough of the Tomlin rant
on the Inside Sports fans.
On the Inside Sports. I don't want to ruin the Lakers show with my football stuff.
All right. And on that note, though,
maybe on a nightcap when I've had a few drinks.
There you go. Maybe you should. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. I will be back tomorrow. I guess Jamie is going to be hard for him to host it. So they've asked me to host it tomorrow. Don't really like getting up that early in the morning for me. Although actually I do get up early and then I have to go. Never mind. It is 11 a.m. on Saturdays. It's going to be tomorrow's then at 11 a.m. They'll discuss whatever
Get
it is.
Get up in the morning and do what?
I'd like to. Well, first of all, I got to take the missus to work. So that's like at 5:36. So usually on Saturdays, I like to try to sleep in a little bit. Never really works out that way. So yeah, be nice once in a while. But I guess not. Kurt says, get your morning cokes ready for the Lakerholics tomorrow. Yes, in honor of Mr. Laker Tom, indeed. I can't wait to hear his crazy trade scenarios, how many times he'll praise Christian Coloco.
For what? Sitting on the bench?
Yeah, it's the next great Lakers center.
He didn't say that. Come on.
He did when we first got him.
He actually said that?
Yes.
Anybody ask him why?
Yes. I'm still trying to figure out the rationale. Tom is, God bless his heart, he's still going 80 and going strong. So I know, Nick, you and your Olynyk deal. Remember, he is a 33-year-old center playing an average of 14 minutes a game. He is not the player he used to be, Nick. You need to come to grips with that. If you throw him in as a second, because the Lakers only have 2 seconds and they're both next year. So if it's for the Clippers second, maybe, but yeah, I wouldn't give more than that for him because he's just not the player, Nick, who you think he is at 33. He can shoot 3 and pass. Well, let's see how well he is a playmaker. I have seen him pass, and normally he can shoot the 3 very well. I will give you that. You stated that he could block shots, and I had to correct you on that one because he does not. But I'll see what his stats again. I forgot what they are from the other day when you first mentioned it, Nick. But with all due respect on that, what is he averaging? What is his 3-point percentage this year? Yeah, actually pretty good. He's shooting 44% from 3. 46 overall, so he doesn't take many inside shots. Only 6 points a game. So, and he's only playing average of 14, 15 minutes a game. Yeah. So he's not really part of Toronto's plans, but yeah.
Well, why do you always look at 3-point percentage? What doesn't Rui shoot 41% from 3?
And yep.
He's useless half the season.
But that's what I'm saying here, Joe, is he's shooting 44% from 3. Why isn't he playing more than 15 minutes a game? There are other reasons why that is, but
you got to stop looking at 3-point percentages for everybody.
Well, Nick, Nick is saying he shoots the 3 and passes.
Who?
Nick T. He said that. Did you see in the comments?
Yeah, I didn't see it. But who passes and shoots 3s?
Kelly Olynyk, which is his favorite player. He wants to come on the Lakers. That's what I've been trying to tell you. I see a player who on a 10-win team is only playing 15 minutes a game. There has to be a reason. There has to be a reason why he's playing so little for Toronto at this time.
Because maybe he stinks.
I'm trying to be nice, Joe, and not say that, but Nick T is really looking and hoping that he'll end up on the Lakers.
I mean, he'd be better than Jackson Hayes and Laker Tom's favorite center.
He'll rip your arm out.
Good. Well, not me, but, good in terms of maybe, playing hard or something. Mark, why'd you tell him? I wanted to keep it going.
You're not going to start a feud with Darren before you head on out, are you?
There's no feud. That guy couldn't compete with me. Come on.
All right. Kurt says any guy with a headband can't be that bad. It's just math. So.
Well, Will Chamberlain had a headband, and he wasn't too bad of a player.
Kurt, you're always one to spice things up. Yes. He said the Lakers need toughness.
I will admit that I have taken the blame for things just to fuck with people.
What is his contract? I forgot. Let me see. Because the reason why is even if he doesn't get traded, could he get bought out?
No one's tough in the NBA, Nick. Those days are gone. Who's tough in the NBA?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna brainstorm while you get the information. I'm gonna brainstorm real quick.
Well, he signed a 2-year, $26 million deal, so he's $12 million. So yes, it is under the $50 million salary. So let's say he doesn't get traded, Nick.
Jalen Duren?
Oh, Jalen Duren from Detroit.
Is it Duren or Durian?
It's Duren.
Duran?
But he's got another year on his contract. Yeah.
But is he a tough guy?
He can't be waived.
Who's the tough guy in the NBA?
Stewart. How about
I'm sorry, Draymond Green is not a tough guy.
What's your impression of Stewart, the one that wanted to fight LeBron?
I think he's loud, but I think if you got into a fight with him, you could knock him out with one punch.
Okay.
Going after LeBron is kind of a wussy move. LeBron doesn't fight. He's LeBron. He doesn't do that shit.
So like Gabe, he has another year on his contract. He has about $13 million next year. So you'd have to trade him. So the Lakers would be on the hook for him for 2 years. So I don't know. Maybe if Masai might get enamored with Gabe Vincent after all. I don't know, because they're both 2-year contracts.
Who's gonna get what? Masai is done in Toronto. He's going to be done very shortly. And then they're going to get some other reject GM. No one wants to go to Toronto, dude. They're going to have to draft everybody. And then whether they stay there or not, I don't know.
Like Barnes?
I mean, is really Barnes going to stay there? He's going to have to stay there, right?
That's where the money is. No matter, even with the taxes in Canada.
What is the taxes in Canada? 70%?
But still, just by the fact that they're the ones that can offer him the max continuously.
805, I think Pelinka and Masai are pretty much the same to me.
Would Lakers get rid of Pelinka for Masai? No, I wouldn't. For the GM in Minnesota, I would.
Oh, my God. That's a good one, Sharon. I would love for Drake to throw down with me. I ain't Chris Brown. I would body slam that punk in no time. Put him in the torture rack. Oh my God, that'd be so much fun. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that, Gerald? Me fighting Drake. How funny that would look.
I could.
That seriously, I would really, really wish for that to happen. Just for the entertainment. Not in like a boxing thing. Now that stuff's a jerk off. I'm talking like outside trying to be a tough guy. Oh man, that'd be so much fun. Oh man, yeah, Drake. It would be a wrap. Yeah, for sure. Kurt. That's funny you say that. If Drake loved the game, not the game, obviously, our game, and said, "Hey, I want to be a character in the game, and I'll put some club to it." My guys would do it. He's a pretty popular guy.
I'll just say this:
put a track.
If Connolly becomes available, because he's a free agent. Tim Conley, the GM of Minnesota and Denver. I think that you should look at that. You're not looking at Bob Myers, and he's been out there for over a season now. So,
who was the last executive that the Lakers hired outside the fam? Because Bill Sharman doesn't count. He was hired as a coach. Then he became part of the executive. So that's still in the family.
That's a good point.
Joe is the Macho Man Savage of Laker talk. Yeah.
Dig it!
Because I'm the cream of the crop. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. And on that note,
on a good night, do some really good Macho Man impressions.
And on that note,
I might mix in some sound bites, like Oh, this is a good one. Look at that.
I'd rather be the NWO. Thank you.
Really? Mega Powers were money.
NWO was more money.
You don't like the drama with the Mega Powers?
No, I love the black and white at the NWO. I cannot stand red, yellow.
To the left of me, no pukesters to the right of me.
I cannot stand red and yellow Hulk. Sorry, just could not in the '80s, and it just cannot. But NWO, that was something I could always get into. But
yeah, but everyone was in the NWO.
well, that's before they diluted it out. But the shirts still sell today, Joe. That speaks for itself. How long lasting that is. So, hey yo, I'm taking a survey. Absolutely, Kurt.
Hey yo. That was my guy, Razor Ramon, man.
Scott Hall. Rest
He
in
was my
peace.
guy. Before he was Scott Hall, I didn't even know what the hell his real name was until he got to the WCW. Hollywood Glassford.
Yeah, third guy. So would Sean be that third guy, or Sean like the X-Pac?
If we were Degeneration X, yeah, he could be
Okay.
X-Pac.
Well, X-Pac was all over. He was in NWO and
Yeah, but he was like his legacy is X-Pac in Degeneration X, really.
yeah, that's true. He was just 6 in the NWO. All right, Sean. Oh, that's too funny. Again, killing it as you always do, Kurt. Killing it as you always do. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. We're going to go ahead and head on out. But again, if you wish to donate, several good locations out there, several good charities that can help the people that have been adversely affected by these fires. Hopefully, you will go ahead, and if you decide to do so, you get the blessings from us as well. I just want to mention again the Lakers game tomorrow against San Antonio has been postponed. No further games at this time have been postponed outside of the Clippers in Charlotte and the Lakers and San Antonio. So, yeah, Aaron, Eric, I do that once a month on Pop Culture Cosmos with John Orlando. We go heavy for an hour on the world of pro wrestling, on the state of pro wrestling. So, I have not heard about Jeremy Kerr. Really sad news. We have not heard at all. I know Xbox has been trying to figure out what's going on. Him and Sports Baby, who live in that area, and they have not found anything as of yet. So,
Well, we have his first and last name. We could find out at some point. I don't know how they.
I don't want to check obituaries, Joe. I mean, we can't check. Really, can we really check hospitals over there?
I don't know, man.
I mean, we're not familiar. I mean, this is where we need Sports Baby and his
I'm worried.
Xbox.
I am worried. He would have hit us up by now.
Yeah, he would have. But we'll see. Keep your thoughts up there, for folks, for Jeremy as well, along with the people that have been adversely affected by these fires. So, on that note, tomorrow I take the plunge at Lakerholics.com with those guys there coming up as the Lakers weekend continues. We'll try the best we can to provide some sort of distraction since it looks like the Lakers are not going to be able to, but we'll do the best we can. Thanks again for joining us. Hopefully we can go ahead and entertain you some more this weekend on a fabulous Lakers weekend right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.